Thank you for taking the time out of your day to spend the next 15 minutes or so with us talking about this important topic of how organizations can better retain and engage IT professionals and employment growth trends for IT talent. Before we get started today, I'd like to go over a few notes of housekeeping. If you should have any questions throughout the presentation, you may submit them by using the chat feature at the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. And if time permits, Melissa will address them at the conclusion of the presentation or will respond to you via email. We also ask that you would rate the webcast at the conclusion and encourage you to share your comments. If you would like to view today's or listen to today's webcast again or share it with someone who is interested, please note that it will be available on demand shortly after today's live recording on our Kelly U.S. Business Service Kelly IT Resources webpage. Before moving forward, I'd like to introduce today's speaker. Melissa Backrath is Vice President of Information and Technology Product Group for Kelly Services, a leader in providing workforce solutions. Ms. Backrath oversees the go-to-market strategies for a broad spectrum of clients in such industries as manufacturing, consumer products, pharmaceutical, energy, and financial services. Melissa has been featured in CIO, InfoWorld, PC World, Business Week, and a number of other media, sharing her views on the IT labor force. Melissa is also a bi-monthly editorial contributor to Enterprise Executive Publication. And without further ado, I'll turn it over to Melissa and get started today.
Welcome, everyone. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to and see some of the information that Kelly has gathered around the employment outlook for IT, as well as how the IT professional workforce feels about these trends and their job opportunities. So first of all, I'm just going to go through a little bit of the background on the research. So on an annual basis, Kelly conducts our Global Workforce Index. And we survey in 2013 nearly 230,000 people across the globe. It includes the Americas, EMEA, and Asia Pac. The survey is conducted online, and it goes through numerous topics, including essentially the job application onboarding process, how employees feel about their engagement in jobs, career development, workforce or work environment preferences, as well as what we call the employer talent quotient. And this was a total of surveys that went out in 20 different languages across 31 different countries. Now, what I'm going to go over today is the data specific to IT professionals. Okay, so this first slide here is data that Kelly has collected. Now, we also utilize a lot of the BLS data, right? The Bureau of Labor and Statistics data around the IT employment outlook. So as many of you have probably seen over the last year or 2 years, the employment rate in IT continues to increase, right? The current projections that we're seeing is between 2013 and 14, an additional 3 to 4% increase in employment, which gives obviously a very low unemployment rate within the IT professionals. It averages between about 2 and 3%. Now, looking at that data, according to the BLS, they expect 780,000 new IT jobs to be created over the next decade. And then there's certain occupations within IT, within technology, or what they call computer and mathematics occupations. Certain ones are projected to grow even faster. And if you look at it in kind of relation to STEM, the science, technology, engineering, and math occupations, the IT group or the technology area is one of the fastest growing areas of occupations. They happen to make up 7 of the top 10 growing occupations within the STEM arena. And that's looking at the projected growth basically between 2012 and 2022, so about a 10-year time frame. And out of those top 15 occupations, software developers happens to be the number 1 position for projected growth. Now, that's growth in terms of new positions created, right? So if you look at the new positions created over the next decade, they're projecting about 218,000 new positions to be created for software developers over the next decade. And if you look at the average salary that they're projecting, the average salary for that position in 2013 was over $92,000 a year, right? These are high knowledge workers, and if you look at a lot of the data that's been coming out around the graduation rates for computer science degrees and other STEM professionals, the graduation rates are actually declining, and they have been declining over the last decade. So there's a lot of labor pressure within the market, seeing that we have a continued increase in the employment outlook and a continued decrease in the graduation rates. And so if you kind of dig into some of the data, a little bit further, there are additional positions within IT. You could take one of the fastest growing positions. Now, it's not the largest in terms of the number of jobs that will be created, but information security. That is the fastest growing position within the STEM arena projected over the next 10 years, right? A 37% increase in job openings. But I think that has a lot to do just with, the way companies are continuing to do more digital and online business, and how data and information security is becoming more and more important. Now, one of the things that I did want to point out that's quite interesting within these, what you would call typically highly skilled STEM positions, in one of the top 15 positions, and that's for computer support specialists, and those are typically what you would call as service desk, help desk, tech support type positions. That is the only position within the top 15 STEM that actually does not require a college degree. Most of the time they're willing to accept some type of on-the-job training. So I think that's quite encouraging, so that additional individuals maybe who are not going through a traditional 4-year degree have an opportunity to get employment within the technology industry, within IT. So if I move on to this next slide, this is where we're really looking at a lot of the data that comes from our Kelly Global Workforce Index. So as you see all of the employment data out there, it is starting really to translate into employee confidence, right, for IT professionals. So according to Glassdoor, who does salary surveys, they did one earlier this year. 44% of Americans felt that they could find another job that matched their current experience and compensation, right? So in our survey, when we focused in on specifically IT professionals globally, 73% believe that they could find a similar or better position if needed, right? So it's really translating into this sense of confidence in the job opportunities out there for them. So, based on the confidence that they're feeling, we're starting to see them really take action on that, which is probably a bit of a change where if you look back probably 2 to 3 years ago, people were more so staying put in their current positions. More and more people who are currently employed in IT jobs are out looking for new positions. So 62% of them said they spend at least 1 to 2 hours a week, right, networking, obtaining references, looking at resources for new job opportunities. And if you think of the time that we spend on a weekly or many people on a daily basis on social media, the amount of visibility that this has, right? So, one, the visibility that workers have to network and to opportunities, but also the visibility that companies and recruiters looking to hire have to the workforce. Access to people who aren't even actively looking today. And there are actually new services and new companies that are popping up specifically to help recruiters, to help companies get access to what we call passive talent, right? So passive talent are individuals who have certain skill sets that a company is looking for, but those people aren't out looking for jobs today. And over the last couple of years, there have been companies like TalentBin, which was recently acquired by Monster, that have developed these online websites that essentially aggregate information across about 100 or so different social media, job boards, specific IT websites and blog areas around, software development or other specific technical skill sets, right? And they scrape all of the information together and they create profiles on individuals that recruiters can use to get access to understand what type of talent is out there, right? So I call this kind of an IT footprint. So it isn't your traditional resume, right, that you control, that you create, you decide who you're going to distribute your resume to or not. This is somebody out there gathering as much information as you've made available on yourself out on the internet and pulling it together into a profile, right? And it includes, not just your professional information, but it could include what you've got on Facebook or some of the other type of social sites that you participate in. So it's very interesting. It's a very new approach to kind of address some of the employment trends and challenges within the industry today for technology workers. So this next slide here is around kind of workforce loyalty and contentment, right? So as you see that IT workers are feeling more confident about their employment opportunities and starting to take some action around it, they really are starting to feel what I would say more empowered, right, to explore new positions. And when we look through the data in our survey, right, it shows that 65% of IT professionals are out there actively looking for new opportunities, right? So when you talk to somebody who, manages a group of IT professionals, whether it be a CIO, a VP, a director, or a manager within an organization, network, infrastructure, applications area of an IT department, and you could tell them 65% of your workforce is actively looking for other opportunities, that really resonates with them. And, the data, 43% of the respondents said that they would actually leave their current employer for advancement, even when they say they're happy with their current job today, right? So this data is really telling about what could be a continued increase in attrition within companies. And as it becomes more and more difficult to hire new talent because of such a low unemployment rate, being able to retain the current workforce that you have, especially the top talent that you have in your organization, is more and more important for managers within IT today. So we kind of took a look at, so why are people leaving? What are the top reasons that they're giving that they're out looking and willing to leave their current jobs? And 62% of them said it was to acquire new skills, right? So this is a trend that we've seen over several years within IT, right? That IT professionals feel that they need to continue to work on some of the new, latest and greatest technologies to keep current with the marketplace, right? So the product development life cycle within technology, within the high-tech sector, has continued to compress, right? The amount of new products that are brought to market within that industry specifically is becoming, more and more rapid. So a professional feels that they need to keep up with the changing pace of technology to continue to be relevant and marketable as an employee. Then the second reason that they cited for being willing to leave for a new opportunity is around advancement. And then the other part that I thought was very interesting is they identified that they're feeling less and less loyal to their current employers. 41% of the respondents said that they were less loyal than just a year ago. On the positive side, some of the data that we've pulled together is that 30% of IT professionals are more likely to say that they have career advancement opportunities within their current employer than some other professions outside of IT, right? Because we survey lots of different types of professionals. And if you compare it to some other professions, like within science, it's only 28% of people feel that they have advancement within their current employer, and only 34% within finance professionals. So at least 30% of the IT professionals felt that there was advancement opportunity at their current employer, so they didn't necessarily have to leave to advance. Okay, so this next slide kind of takes a look at the correlation between a couple of different data points. And that's really around career advancement, along with engagement, and then, of course, attrition, right? So what we found as employees felt that there were more career advancement opportunities at their employer, they felt much more engaged. And when they were much more engaged in their jobs and with their company, they were less likely to want to leave for another position, right? I mean, you say that and it kind of makes sense. But I think it's a very important factor because it is something that companies or managers can actually influence today. Because if an employee is feeling more vested and they see a future at their current employer, they're just less likely to be out looking for a new job. So, when we looked at this data, 38% of the respondents said that they were really looking to advance to the next level. But it really isn't all about the next promotion, right? When you think of advancement, you think of, I need to be promoted to the next level. Again, it came up that 62% of them said it was really more about advancement in terms of skills and acquiring new skills, not just getting a promotion. So when we work with companies, to address some of these concerns, we really suggest that they take a look at kind of what is reality and what is perception, right? Because to their employees, perception is kind of what they're taking action on. So a lot of it is making sure that they look at the data and understanding, when somebody looks at their employment opportunity or their advancement opportunity, do they typically hire from the outside to fill certain new positions or management positions or certain technical positions? Do they have structured training and mentoring programs to be able to develop their people? Are their managers on a regular basis sitting down with employees and assessing their skills, creating development plans, and communicating with the employees around career advancement opportunities, right? These are all the types of things that they can do to really affect the level of engagement and retention in their staff. Okay, and then this very last slide that I have here is kind of one that I wanted just to use to maybe debunk a little bit the misconception that employees leave basically for a promotion and a higher salary, right? So therefore, to retain my staff, I need to give them salary increases. And we talked a little bit about it earlier, but this slide and the data that we have really confirms it. And we had 62% of respondents who said they would actually give up higher pay for new skill sets, right? That's training, that's development, that's mentoring. And outside of advancement and acquiring new skills, there are other types of work environment factors that really influence their job satisfaction, right? So 66% of the professionals like working in highly collaborative, cross-functional teams, right? That gives you an idea of the environment that really engages them. And 28% said that they don't like working in traditional hierarchical structures, right? That was definitely a detractor in a position. And then, another thing that, employees were much in favor for were flexible work arrangements, right? 40% of them said they'd give up higher pay for flexibility, right? That could be flexibility in the hours that they come in, or it could be some option on occasion to work from home. So kind of when we take a look at this, 55% value that work-life balance and 40% on the flexibility, right? So those are the types of things that I think are really key takeaways out of the data and things that companies and managers can use to actually impact employee loyalty, engagement, and retention.
Very good. We have a few questions here. We have one. It says, why are college students not pursuing computer science degrees at the same level they were in the 1970s and 80s?
Yeah, so there's been a lot of research that has been done in this area. I've seen research that's come out of MIT, out of the Lemelson Institute, out of some of their invention surveys, and it's quite interesting when you look at it. So, it's hard to say that it's directly correlated, but there was a period of time in which, within the United States specifically, we started offshoring of IT work to other countries. And shortly after that, there was a drop in the enrollment and graduation rates for professionals within computer science. I think there has been some stigma around that, and whether they thought that there was job stability within that field. The other thing that we see that's been fairly consistent in the data is that there are two segments of the, I would say, college base that just don't seem to be attractive to computer science degrees or IT professions. We just have not done a good job at getting women and minorities into computer science degrees and into IT positions. And I think we're going to have to crack that code if we are going to be able to really impact the amount of graduation rates, coming out of college for computer science degrees. If you look back, so many years ago, the type of IT position you saw, this kind of geeky guy, right? That was the face of IT. That just isn't attractive to everybody. It's not the right type of stereotype for what a job is in IT today, and we need to change that stereotype.
Okay, thank you. We have another question here, Melissa. Is the number of skilled workers being brought into the U.S. via the H-1B visa program increasing, staying about the same, or decreasing during the last 5 years?
Yeah, so, there's been a lot written about this lately. The White House has pulled together committees taking a look at foreign worker visa programs, and there's a lot of passion on both sides of the debate or the issue. Yes, indeed, they have been increasing the number of visas, but the number does not come to even close match the need there is out there in the workforce. So companies are continuing to push Washington, D.C. and their legislature around, we need to be able to get more foreign workers in the country because we're not producing them ourselves. But they have not opened it up significantly to address the gap that we have today.
Okay. And we have a couple of more. Will organizations start implementing training programs to help narrow the IT talent gap, do you think?
Yeah, so what I have been seeing is, I would say, more and more schools, technical schools, and some universities really taking a look at their curriculum and figuring out how do they attract more people into it, and how do they create degrees, not just your general computer science degrees, but they can be 2-year degrees, or they can be where you get, certified in certain areas, right? And within IT, there's tons of certifications, Microsoft certifications, Cisco certifications, security certifications that might help address some of that.
Okay. Well, thanks, Melissa. Do you have any closing remarks to share with everybody?
No, I want to thank everybody for your time to take a listen and look at some of the data that Kelly has gathered around this area. If you do have any questions and follow-up, feel free to contact myself or Linda Jones, and we are more than willing to get back with you and answer your questions, or even schedule some individual one-on-one time to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, that's it. Thanks so much. And everybody have a great afternoon. Bye.
Thank you.